Welcome back to The Watch. You know, Oz, I remember a couple of years ago, you once told me that gamers are the most oppressed group in the world.
Absolutely.
And you still believe that?
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. And I didn't know how, legitimate that comment might have been. I could see some tongue-in-cheek humour, that it's pointing out, right? But I tell you what, there's been an accusation against gamers recently that making me rethink my opinion on that statement.
What did they say about gamers this time, huh?
Now, gamers are terrorists.
Only in Minecraft.
I mean, in Counter-Strike.
Yeah. And hey, what's his name? Who's the guy that does all the spy, military games? Tom Clancy.
Tom Clancy?
It is written in his contract for his licensing, no player can play as a terrorist.
Really?
Yes.
Interesting.
Even in the Rainbow Six Siege, both teams are counter-terrorist. Not allowed.
Okay, interesting.
But otherwise.
But in other games...
Yeah. GTA.
Well, this is actually unironic. So, I was... someone that talks about this a lot. Her name is BX, and it's BX thing on thing X.
As in BX on Twitter. Yeah.
BX, because I still don't associate X and Twitter.
Neither do I, it's stupid.
But seriously though, I'm really enjoying Side Scrollers. Great podcast. And she talks about how certain government agencies are putting certain gaming communities, Discord groups and stuff like that, they're watching gamers. Either being put on watch lists and being classed as gateways into white supremacy and terrorism.
What?
Yeah.
We literally changed the N-word's word to be the gamer word as representation. How more progressive can we get?
Some would call that racist, Oz.
No, we're just trying to include people.
I thought
That's what I thought.
No, it's because that word got used a lot in gaming hobbies, and then was called the gamer word.
Oh, I never said it though.
I know. Yeah, sure you did.
I didn't.
Yeah, never, right?
Not with a hard R.
So there's a bit of background to this, which is it's kind of wild, right? But it's the trauma and aftermath that so many precious snowflakes had from Gamergate 1, right? Gamergate 1, we've covered a bit, on the channel and talking about, and it's worth saying again. It's I feel it was one of the more important events in the culture, because before Gamergate, I saw the feminist narrative, which is ultimately the woke narrative, and that has ties with redistribution, but actual Marxism and stuff like that, because the philosophies are essentially the same when it's about power and redistributing power, okay, and structures and destroying hierarchies, right, especially hierarchies of competence, okay, and feminism wants to redistribute representation, power, and all that type of stuff
To themselves,
right? Take away, it's all about equal also equal outcomes as well.
Yeah.
Women don't earn as much as men, and so we have to have equality outcomes. What's communism is like we'll redistribute everything and have equal outcomes and stuff like that.
And purges, don't forget purges.
And purges, right? And so it is shouldn't be surprising how much philosophy they actually share at the end of the day. And that's why
I get it. Share,
Sorry,
right?
That's
very clever.
And the whole woke agenda, at the end of the day, boils down to communist subversion, ultimately, right? We're all equal, comrade. We must have all equivalent outcomes. We must have the representation, comrade. Okay? And so this influence was, and it was being pushed by feminism and hiding behind, accepting kind of phrases like, you believe in equality, don't you? Like you don't, you're not misogynist, aren't you? You want women to have, opportunity and stuff, and people who want to be good people, they're like, of course, right? And so they use that kind of subversive, deceptive tactic to creep it in and gain influence over so many things. And then they came for the games, the video games. And part of it was to try and like, oh, women are sexy, like they're sexy women. You know, you're not. How dare you look at that? And not enough women in gaming, and women are being oppressed and harassed and all that stuff. And gamers, a large number of them, not all of them, but a large number, wouldn't have a bar of it and push back. And it was the first time I saw legitimate pushback. And the activists are traumatized by that, that there was such pushback, even though the media was on their side. Some people think they even won.
No. Our side just keeps growing.
It never ended.
Yeah.
The pushback continued. And I was actually a bit heartened by seeing, like, and it red-pilled me, right? It exposed what it was, and it was thanks to the pushback in gaming when people actually said, nah, the actual philosophy underneath this message is completely vile.
Evil.
Yeah.
This is what got me into the whole thing, right? I used to be, in high school, they taught me to be progressive. I was, let everyone in, women are better than all that sort of stuff, right? But then I saw a Sargon of Akkad video about Gamergate.
Sargon, man.
Sargon, he's my hero. I fangirl over him every time. Thank you, Shad, for getting me into a couple of games with them. But yeah, so that got me into it, and now more people are getting into it.
They are aware of this agenda that's at play. But because of that, this is where the pushback started to begin, right? And as a result, people attribute Gamergate for the election of Donald Trump. And ironically, there are people who... And this is the thing, there might be some merit to that. Like, Gamergate was responsible for red-pilling a lot of people.
Yeah.
And red-pilling against this subversive leftist, this extremist leftist. We know not all left-leaning people are on board with this, but this really extreme leftist, Marxist agenda, right? And the people that got red-pilled to it, well, then again, they're also going to be talking about where it arises in politics.
Yeah, it's a snowball, right? And who's to say where the snowball ends?
And even during the election of Donald Trump, I saw some gaming tactics, memes, and crap talking, things that are very connected with gaming culture, got put into practice. And it's very effective.
I remember that.
When it comes to gamers, they know how to strategize.
Oh boy, yeah.
Yep.
Well, think about this though. Think about it at a meta-narrative sort of level. Who fights wars? Young men.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah.
So any realm that we kind of occupy that you go to war with, whether it's memes or games, you know, you better not shut down the servers because whatever we get into, we'll fight with.
So here's the thing though. Seems like the current sides, groups that are occupying the institutes of power, the government agencies, I think they're also a bit aware of that reality. Yes. And some people will say that saying Donald Trump got elected from Gamergate is ridiculous, and I saying he was solely elected from Gamergate. Yeah, that is ridiculous, but there's a connection. Okay, because Gamergate 1 was the first big red pilling in society and pushback against this agenda, and so there is a thing to it, and I think they're aware of that fact, and that's why they are so afraid of gamers.
Yep. But what they should be afraid of is when they destroy our games, because then there's real world stuff. If we don't have a Minecraft to do things in, what are we going to do?
So many people, and this is the reality, gamers wouldn't care if you just let them game. They wouldn't even be get involved in politics. I mean, one of the things that kind of birthed Carl Benjamin Sargon with his, whole career against the extremist left was they came for his games, and he got it
we just wanted to play video games.
Just wanted to play games, and so it was their attempt at trying to take the video games away from us that exposed them. If they just left them alone, but they can't help them, so they can't leave anything well enough alone because they want control. And gaming is a very influential and it makes a lot of money. Let's just say, industry. It makes more money than Hollywood and everything.
Really?
By orders of magnitude.
I did not know that.
What, really?
I had no idea.
Yeah, dude, it makes way more money than Hollywood. It's one of the biggest. It is the biggest entertainment industry in the world.
Nice.
Yeah. Surprised you didn't know that.
And it hosts one of the most repressed and oppressed groups.
Seems like it, right?
Yeah.
And so, because I think, the people who are in control at the moment understand this. There's been active measures taken to try and monitor gamers, and they need to justify if a government agency is going to monitor gamers, because the reality is, I do think a lot of gamers got red pilled in Gamergate 1. Okay, yeah, right. I was. You were. It had a real world effect. They're afraid of it happening again because that will have an effect on politics, and so they are horribly afraid that people are going to get red pilled again. But what they call it is, they say it is indoctrinated or radicalized into white supremacy.
Yeah.
That's how they frame it. They frame that people just becoming aware, red pilled against the extremist, extreme leftist agendas, which is, tied with feminism, tied with the woke movement, right? They call that becoming a white supremacist. When the people who are actually discriminating according to race is this woke movement. We covered Black Girl Gamers recently, and other things where they will discriminate. There is even hiring practices that discriminate based on race. Okay, and it seems like they genuinely hate straight white men, and that seems like you're supposed to be about no racism and inclusion, yet you're actively discriminating, being racist. Okay. But that's white supremacy. And by the way, this is what is so disgusting, because white supremacy, actual white supremacy, is evil. It's racist. But I see far fewer of them around in the world than there are other supremacists, black supremacists and stuff. And they are celebrated in this woke movement. It's genuinely happening. And, but anyone that would even try and attack us as being white supremacists when we actively denounce it as being vile and evil, all right? I mean, it happens with Carl Benjamin. He was actively trying to criticize white supremacy, right? And that was his... And then, in one of his discussions with these crazy white supremacists, right, he used language that people don't approve of, okay? And in context, you understand what he was doing.
Yeah.
This is why even left-leaning people defended Carl Benjamin in this. What's... someone...
Sam Hyde?
No, not...
He's a terrorist. No, I'm just kidding.
No. He's an atheist, but a leftist. He speaks...
Sam Altman?
I forget. Maybe he's not even saying something. But
There's
anyway,
so many.
yeah. He defended Carl, and he left Patreon when Carl was banned off of Patreon, right? But even leftists understood that Carl didn't say anything wrong. He was actually criticizing white supremacy, right? But he will be accused of being a white supremacist because they need to vilify their opponent, make them look to be as evil as possible to get their side to agree with them and to hate the people who are objecting and opposing, because they can't win on the arguments, right? And so if you can't actually debate win on the arguments, if you can vilify them, and they try to do this against me all the time as well, online, everything like that.
You're very careful. So
I'm far more careful than a lot of people, but no, they still do. Like the fact that I had the gall to say that straight men are not attracted to men and therefore find gay sex repulsive, right? That was me being a homophobe. And it's like, wow. And to me, that's even a mask off. It's where you have a problem with the fact that straight people are not attracted to the same gender, right?
Does Henry Cavill count, though? I feel like it's not gay if it's Henry Cavill and it's nothing sexual. I was just joking. Another Oz meme.
Sure.
Another Oz joke.
It is wild, though, that they will take that and then frame and try and vilify it in the worst possible light. And it's like, have you heard of the film Bros?
Bros.
It's a rom-com. Okay, so rom-com, romantic comedy, specifically about gay men. And it has some pretty explicit sex scenes, borderlining on pornography.
Oh.
Gay men sex scenes, right?
Okay.
And they were calling straight men homophobic for not wanting to watch it because it had gay sex in it. And it's like, what?
Are you kidding me? I've seen tons of lesbian sex scenes.
But they wouldn't criticize a gay guy for being repulsed by lesbian sex scenes. They would never criticize that.
Yeah. Maybe that's why he's gay. He just hasn't seen that yet. Give it a chance, buddy. You never know.
Well, that's what they're saying to straight guys. Just give the gay sex a chance.
Just be a bit gay.
But anyway, all of that, right? They want to vilify him, and one of the ways they vilify him is called homophobic, and then it comes at white supremacists. It's like, what? But that's how they do it. Because if they can try and say there's this huge group of white supremacists that gaming is cultivating, everything like that, that then justifies certain agencies to keep an eye on them, but also it justifies their job a bit, right?
Yep.
And so BX on side scrollers, we won't have the time to listen to the whole thing, but I just want to see if she mentioned some really interesting things. Right?
Recognize and prevent real terrorists from infiltrating gaming communities, which is actually happening, right? They're preying on our kids. We've got child predators, we've got terrorists.
See, that's interesting.
In reality,
so she's saying these government agencies are not targeting the actual problems, predators in gaming and stuff like that, and they might actually be real terrorists, but the memers and the people pushing back against the woke ideology, they're the terrorists that they're being accused of. And so listen.
No, just being this DEI push. Well, you know what? We should just try to push more diversity, which is actually happening. Right?
Okay, so
they're
listen.
preying on our kids. We've got child predators, we've got terrorists. But in reality, it ended up just being this DEI push. Well, you know what? We should just try to push more.
So in reality, what they're, it's all about DEI. Right.
Diversity. Less white people in the games, therefore less white supremacy.
You think there's a... I feel like it's the opposite, though. It seems to be the opposite.
What, you think it's creating more white supremacy?
Absolutely, because as soon as you put yourself in opposition to someone, people typically do whatever they can to not be that.
Yeah, and they push back and then
Exactly.
Gravitate and try and group together with other victims and stuff.
Escalation always occurs, and the extremists will always.
And that's not good. That's not good, because then that gives them. They actually want this type of racism in the world because it justifies their advocacy. But in this situation, it justifies their agencies, their jobs. Right? It is shocking that the FBI has actually, is it called catfishing? But that's when
entrapment.
Entrapment. That's it. Yeah, where they entrap people to encourage and radicalize them into terrorist actions that they then stop. And it's like they're the ones that caused it.
Yep. Huh.
It's insane.
Oh.
And so they want to radicalize more people because seemingly it seems like that to then justify their position because it gives them it justifies the existence of their work.
How many gamers do you think have killed people, innocent people?
I don't know.
How many federal agents do you think have... Sorry, maybe that's... Anyway.
But I don't know. I mean,
I can tell you some that they've admitted to and apologised for.
Well, there's some that's very public, like Waco and stuff.
Waco, Ruby Ridge. There's one at the time they gave an entire black community in the South syphilis just to see what would happen.
Like, the details of Waco are horrifying.
Ruby Ridge too, yeah. And Waco, my goodness.
Holy crap. And then the cover-up afterwards.
Yep.
This is...
Do you know at Ruby Ridge? It was the same thing...
I don't know not a lot about Ruby Ridge.
Same thing, same people, like same year, wasn't it? I'm pretty sure it's the same 2 years. Anyway, like...
Holy crap, yeah. It's horrifying stuff. Okay.
That's just the stuff they admitted to.
Yeah, so some of these agencies have done truly evil things.
Yep.
Okay. And then there's actual conspiracy. Like, it was proven that they were actively working against, Donald Trump and stuff like that after the fact and stuff.
Yep.
And so these agencies are actually corrupted by agenda and lean towards one side of this political spectrum.
I had one of my conspiracy theories confirmed by a person literally in an authoritarian position to confirm it the other day. It got told to me begrudgingly as someone who did not want to tell it to me, and I'm like, oh, okay, sweet, there's one for me. But otherwise, yeah, like, what don't we know is going on, That's my question.
Well, so look, BX covers this a lot and does a lot of research into it, and so I'd encourage people to watch the Side Scrollers podcast where she's on. We can link it, and it is wild. And yeah, literally, gamers are terrorists, and there is an active push to try and either vilify gamers, to try and stop any potential red pilling that might, and it is nuts, and there's, surveillance starting, and it goes deep, this rabbit hole.
To make sure there's no bad apples in our gaming community, we should organise and set hierarchies and command structures and ways to communicate in networks.
Or we could just boycott the crap games.
Yeah.
That's an easier way.
There's that too.
Thing is, though, that's all it takes. Like, this movement will fail because you can't beat gamers in this regard. Gamers will not have a bar of it. They just want to have good games and not be shamed for being either straight or white. But even people who are not straight or white, they just want good games as well. Okay, and they're against this racist agenda that the ultra woke are pushing. That is insane.
And to be a terrorist, that requires you to go outside. I don't like the sound of that. I'll avoid that as much as possible. The sun lives out there.
So, wild stuff, and we will cover it as always, because that's what we do. Stay on watch.